guys, welcome back to the comic strip. I have to apologize to you. I had a huge week of comics this week, and I was actually out of town yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to get any read. So I had 32 books I picked up today, and there was really no way for me to get them all done in a timely fashion to put this up for tonight. So we're only going to go through about like 15 or 17 of the ones that I picked up, and then I'm going to read the rest of them tonight. So I apologize that not all of them are done, so if there's any that you are looking forward to hearing about that you don't see me talk about, just ask. I'll try to respond to you in the comments about those issues. But I definitely wanted to touch base on the number ones and some of the other cool stuff that came out this week. So we'll get started and we'll get through what we can. Alright, so while I was out of town, one of my coworkers was talking about how amazing this book was, so I read this one first. We have Teen Dog #1. This is going to be an 8-issue miniseries from Boombox. It's written and arted by Jake Lawrence. It's being described as kind of just like a comic version of like a really great 90s cartoon, which is a fair assessment for those of you who are reading Lumberjanes. It's a really good one. He's pretty much just the coolest, most easygoing dog in school, the biggest pizza-loving dog, although, you know, Pizza Dog from Hawkeye, they might have to fight that out. But it's a really fun one. There's a lot of just, like, single-page gags going on, but it's delightful. I do recommend this one. Then we have, issue 1 of volume 3 of Stumptown by Greg Rucka. I have not actually read any Stumptown. It's always something that I had meant to get around to, especially I do really like Greg Rucka. I just hasn't been the time. But I picked up this one, and I will tell you that not knowing anything about the characters, I don't even know if they're the same characters that are continuing from the previous ones. But it's a great issue. I really enjoyed it. It focuses a lot about soccer in this first one here, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I quite like the art from Justin Greenwood there. So definitely good for those of you who have read Stumptown in the past. It's very exciting that it's back. For those of you who haven't and are interested, I still really think it's a good one to pick up, even if you haven't read any before. And if you enjoy it, there's 2 other volumes to go check out. So, I mean, it's wins all around. Then we have from Dan Abnett and I.N.J. Colbard, we have Wild's End. So this is a story about a very quaint little town where you get some filled with animal people, kind of like, you know, Fantastic Mr. Fox kind of people. It's a 6-issue mini. Everything in this town is quiet and quirky and peaceful until a star, or something looking like a star, crashes to Earth, and then weird things start happening. I really like the art in it. The animals are really cute and fun, which always appeals to me. Is a really cool sounding concept, and I'm very interested to see where it goes in the next 6 issues. So 5 issues. Yeah, so definitely cool. One of my favorite reads this week. It's an interesting one. It's called #1. This is by Gary Scott Beatty and Aaron Warner. This is a story about a comic shop owner. But more than that, it's a story about the history and evolution of comics and what it means to be a collector versus just an appreciator of the stories versus somebody who is, you know, going after it for the money. And it's a story of a deep, deep love of comics that if you are a retailer, if you work in a comic shop, or even if you just hung out in a comic shop, this is really a really good issue. I loved it. I actually cried through a fair amount of it. It's not necessarily a sad story, but so much of it, it's so true and hits so close to home that I just really, really responded to this. It's an amazing story. It's 32 pages, $3.99. It's a really, really good summary of the evolution of comics, as well as the struggle that the shop owners go through for their passion for this industry versus all of the ridiculous aspects of this industry. So I really recommend it. I cannot speak highly enough of this. This book really, really, really got me. I liked it. Then we have another #1 from one of my favorite guys. We've got from Grant Morrison and Fraser Irving, Annihilator. This is from Legendary Comics. So this one is interesting. So there's a Hollywood screenwriter who's writing a story about a prisoner in space. And this prisoner in space somehow shows up. So it's a really interesting, like 2 stories side by side running along. Really interesting concept. Very, very odd, very, very Grant Morrison. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. It's got a very cool sci-fi vibe to it, because it's sci-fi. But it's really interesting, and there's a lot of naked ladies in it. So hey, what's not to like? We all love naked ladies, and we all like Grant Morrison. Well, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us like both of those things. And sci-fi, if any of those sound interesting, this is a good one to pick up. Then we have, from Image, we have Copperhead. This is by Jay Faerber and Scott Godleski. So this story is about a gal, Sheriff Bronson, and her son Zeke. They come to this backwater western planet to start a new life together, where there's all these different races cohabitating, but not all of them are treated quite as equally. But there's a lot of local color, interesting, a lot of very rich, very different characters in here. And the first issue was really cool, so I'm definitely interested to see what continues on from that point. So that's it for the technical #1s, and then we have the Futures End #1s, the one-shots there. So I have Futures End Batgirl. Let's see if we can do it here. So one cover. Okay. There's the other one there. Yeah. So this one we have Batgirl, and then this one we have Batgirl and her League of Batgirls. Interesting. Some of these characters you might recognize on the front cover. There's a blonde one. There's one with dark black hair, maybe a couple other Batgirls we've seen before in the past. And there's a new one. Very interesting. This is actually a really good send-off issue for Gail Simone. This is her last issue on the book. So I got a little welled up there for a second. I cry a lot when I read comics. I mean, it's weird. But it was a really good send-off for the book. I really liked it. So I definitely highly recommend this for any Batgirl fans out there, whether you're picking up the Futures End ones or not. And then my other Futures End that I had this week was Batman. Let's see, we got futuristic cover and normal cover. Futuristic cover, normal cover. Okay. So this one is, as all of these are, this takes place 5 years ahead of the current continuity in DC. And this one, Batman will do anything to keep the legacy of Batman alive, including going to some crazy, ridiculous lengths, as we see in this issue. Definitely a good one. It's pretty much, you know, Batman and Alfred, as it always should be, but with some different stuff going on. So, since I have so much every week, there's a lot of books that, let's be honest, we don't really have to talk about. There are certain books like Invincible, Walking Dead, Saga. Those of you who are reading those books, you know it's going to be a great issue. And I don't need to be here to tell you, hey, this is a great issue. And I do worry that if I talk, hey, here's Invincible, that you guys are going to worry that I'm going to give you spoilers. So in cases like that, I don't want to ruin anything for you guys. I understand how big and important these books are, and I don't want to spoil anything. So I will say, I read Invincible and Walking Dead. Both were excellent. Those of you who are reading that series, you know both of these are excellent. I won't get into too many more details because those of you who are reading, I don't want to ruin anything for you. Those of you who aren't reading, you should start reading those books, especially Invincible. Everyone should be reading Invincible. If you're not reading Invincible, let me just show you. This is the only superhero comic book you will ever need. That's all you need to know. It's the only one you need. True, I read a billion more, but if I can only pick one, I have to be honest. Invincible would be that one. And there's a big reason for it. Because it's amazing. Go learn yourself. Go read some Invincible. Anyway, off that ridiculous tangent. Next up, we have one of my favorite books. We've got Ms. Marvel, and she's got a new pet, and his name is Lockjaw, and it's delightful and adorable, and it's amazing because it's Ms. Marvel. Then we have an issue we haven't had in a little bit over a month here. We've got Morning Glory, issue 40. This issue asks the question, what is reality? And in the Morning Glories Academy? That is a very, very interesting question because there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on. I did want to bring up to you guys, if you didn't know already, check out Joe Eisma's Tumblr, because he had a post a little while back about how he was accepting cameos for Morning Glories. They're looking for people to just be in the background, use their visual likeness as just like a little extra character in the back there for the school. So if you're interested in doing this, which I totally did, I would love, I'm hoping it turns out, but email Joe at Supajoe, Supajoe, so Joe at supajoe.com, send him a couple pictures of your face, let him know you're interested, and maybe you'll see yourself in a comic. And it's really cool. He said that he'd let you know if you were going to show up in a comic, and if you did end up in the comic, if you ever saw him at a convention, he would do a free head sketch of your character. So totally awesome. And this is this book has a very, very soft spot in my heart, so I'm really excited at this. This is a really fun opportunity for the fans. So if you guys are reading this book, you should totally do that. Maybe we'll be in an issue together. That'd be cool. Then we have East of West. So this is one of the best issues I have read in a while. And if you're reading East of West, you know that is a hugely big statement. Because East of West is always amazing, and East of West always has crazy, insane, crazy, awesome, big sci-fi, apocalyptic stuff happening. But yes, this issue is incredible. It's so good. There's so much I want to talk about, but I'll just say it's amazing. It's amazing. Then on that note, like I said, I read Walking Dead. It was good. It was really good. It's, you know, you guys know. So then we have Batman Eternal, number 23. As we can see from the cover here, this issue is going to primarily focus on Selina Kyle, although you do get some good Batman appearances in there as well as another character that Batman's working with right now. Then we have, this is such a good book so far, we have spread number 3. Look at that cover. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that fat man and those gooey tentacly things. But yeah, so in this issue you get to see the first glimpse of civilization in this spread infested world. Really, really interesting getting to see Noe interact with other people. He's a talkative sort, that one. But yes, hell of a good book. I love this. Then we have another book from Greg Rucka. This is the one that's been turning me on to all of his other stuff. We've got Lazarus. This is another really good issue. Getting to see some more of the Lazaruses. Lazarus? Not sure the plural. If you know the plural to Lazarus, let me know. I may need that in the future. Then we've got Imperial here. This is Imperial issue 2. It's a little bit mostly all white cover, so it's hard to see some of those things there. But he's very quickly learning how difficult it is to manage a personal life while you have this immortal, supreme hero being following you around and trying to get you, to recruit you. It's really fun. I really, really enjoy this book. Then, and this is actually going to be the last one that I review tonight. Like I said, I have a ton more to read. I still have 11 books to read, so I figured it would probably be better to get this out a little bit earlier for you guys. And if there's anything I missed, I do really apologize. It's just a huge week. It's hard to manage all of them. So the last one that I read tonight for the video is MPH by Mark Miller and Duncan Fegredo. So this has hit the curse of all Mark Miller books, which is he's the busiest man. He's so busy that, you know, the first 2 issues come out on time, and then they start getting a little bit further behind, which is why I have a really hard time keeping up with a lot of his books in single issues, because I start reading and I'm like, oh, it's so amazing! And then, you know, 5 months go by, and I'm like, wait, what happened? But, so issue 3 of MPH, it hasn't been so long since issue 2 that I can't remember what happened. There's some really, really interesting turns of events here. When you have a drug, MPH, miles per hour, that gives you superhuman speed and a lot of interesting stuff associated with it, and you give it to the hands of, you know, 4 young folks with, you know, there's very interesting things that they choose to do with their powers, mostly robbing banks. I mean, really, what are you gonna do? But yeah, this was a really good issue. Really interesting seeing some of the developments here. I'm really, really hoping that this comes out a little bit more regularly, even like once every 3 months is cool. But yeah, so that's it for me tonight. Like I said, I'm sorry if I didn't get to the book you were hoping I would talk about tonight. I will do my best in the future to get to everything. But I got home at 2 a.m. from Coheed and I was tired, so I'm probably just gonna go to bed early tonight. So thanks guys for tuning in. Sorry for my tangents there. I tend to go off on them. But I will see you again next week. If you have any questions or any comments, just drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you guys. So until next time, have a good one.